Nobody is safe in the second round. We got collapses harder than the Twin Towers all over the league. The NBA playoffs just flipped the script. The so-called favorites, shaking. Jalen Ice in his veins Brunson is writing his name as a playoff legend, hitting daggers with the poise of a 10-year vet. In the battle for MVP, Jokic showed the world who the king really is. Knockout punch after knockout punch. And Tyrese Halliburton? Well, he continues to dance on his victims, laughing all over the poor souls he put 6 feet under. Welcome to round 2, where the narratives fall apart. All season long, the talk was about these 3 teams, the Celtics, Cavs, and Thunder. Dominant, untouchable, inevitable. They were treated like gatekeepers to the conference finals, but after what we just witnessed, well, these gates are wide open. The second round isn't just delivering, it's destroying expectations. So let's take a deeper dive into each of these matchups and talk about what these teams need to do to survive what's coming next. Starting with Celtics-Knicks. The Celtics seem to have been having a little bit of an identity crisis at the moment, chasing youthful days. Because why the hell am I getting flashback to the 2020 Eastern Conference Finals against the Heat? Or 2023 for that matter, or any game in between. I really thought this team grew past that, but something happened and they reverted back to their old ways. 2 20-point late-game chokes in a row. Are you kidding me? Now the Celtics had complete control of this game. Derek White and Jason Tatum were having a field day, hitting timely shot after timely shot. Cal was in foul trouble early, having 3 fouls basically at the beginning of the second quarter, and Mitchell Robinson was just being himself, missing gimme free throws. The Celtics really had this game in the bag, being up 20 points halfway through the third quarter. And then, they absolutely unraveled.
Pritchard's defense is there, the fadeaway is launched, and a rebound by Hart. And the Knicks are running, Anunoby at the other end. Now the switch, Brunson at 3. Oh! Got another one! First New York lead!
Let's start with the obvious. Boston came into the second half shooting like they were at a Best Buddies open gym at 9 a.m. Brick after brick after brick after deep contested brick. With Cat on the bench, the paint was there for the taking. So what did the Celtics do when the Knicks are struggling with size in the paint? Well, they did what any team that lacks common sense would do. They took a bunch of contested threes. And Tatum, one of the most complete offensive players in the league, elite handle, elite strength, and a finishing package made for playoff basketball, decides to hunt 5'8" Jalen Brunson just to take step-back threes. It was like no one told them the Knicks didn't have a single big man under the basket. You got a mismatch, you got the lead, and you're settling for lazy ego shots instead of driving to the basket and taking easy shots. And by doing so, you end up taking back shots. In Game 2, we saw the exact same thing happen again. 20-point lead, and the Celtics get lazy, and then once again they're taking contested threes and missing. Zero change in their strategy, and they expected it to work. And New York once again took advantage. Brunson came back to TD Garden and raised hell once again. He really proved that he's meant for the big stage, man, and he really is deserving of getting Clutch Player of the Year. The city of New York's been looking for its savior, and Jalen Brunson has arrived. Of course, a contending team can only choke for so long, and in Game 3, the Celtics reminded the world who exactly you were talking to. Jason Tatum came back shooting hot, as did the rest of the team, shooting 50% from 3. They also attacked the basket a lot more, finally learning that's something you can do with a couple 7-footers. This time, when they were up 20, they didn't lay their foot off the gas. They kept attacking and ended up winning the game by 22 points. So the chaos continues in this series. But that's not the only series where things aren't looking the way they're supposed to. The Nuggets pretty much gave up on this season when they fired Mike Malone. Or so I naively thought, because they really proved to have heart. And OKC is living the age-old story. Yeah, they're a 68-win team that has the most complete game in the league. And yet, that all goes away once the playoffs start. Experience matters, and they don't have too much of it. Meanwhile, Denver has championship pedigree. Jamal Murray, who was having a pretty mediocre regular season, has now stepped it up to a whole different stratosphere in the playoffs. In Game 1, Denver started the game hot, actually leading early on. And then we had the inevitable crash once Jokic went to the bench. And in classic OKC fashion, they capitalized and went on a huge run, and ended up being up 14 points at one point. Honestly, I thought this game was wraps. With the struggling Nuggets roster and an overworked Serbian, OKC had this game in the bag, but the Nuggets continued to fight, slowly chipping away at this lead. And Jokic went into overdrive, fighting his way to bring the game to a one-possession game. And this is where OKC really messed up. They decided to play the foul game. I don't understand the coaching decision here. They definitely could have killed some clock, but for some reason, Mark Daigneault was so afraid of Denver hitting a 3 despite having one of the best defenses in the league. I mean, I guess that's what ended up happening. But had you just eaten up some clock and defended, you would have never given AG a chance of having a good look. Now, Chet was having a shite game and capped it off with those 2 missed free throws, as was J-Dub. While OKC was shooting lights out from 3, these two combined for an impressive 2 for 12 from 3. Somehow still better than Jaylen Brown though. But discrediting OKC like this does not tell the complete story, because the Nuggets had a very complete game. They had productive minutes from basically all their starters except for MPJ, who's been on kind of a shitter lately. But Jokic, man, Jokic showed the world just how dominant he can be when he chooses to go into overdrive. He made the Thunder defense look like children trying to play against LeBron. Game 2 went a lot more like how the series was supposed to go. OKC got the lead early and never looked back. Shea had a monster game, shooting 11 from 13 from the field, while the Denver starters were all playing like hot doo-doo. MPJ had yet another shitter, and as did Aaron Gordon and Christian Brown. When OKC has it going, man, they show zero mercy. You miss a shot and pout for even half a second, they're already in transition ready to score another bucket before you can even get back on defense. That being said, if OKC is to win this series, they're going to have to play like this time and time again. Because if Game 3 showed us anything, when the game gets close, OKC seems to find the playoff lights a little too bright. Shea could not score at all in the final minutes of the game. And in overtime, the Thunder as a whole team only scored 2 points in the entire 5-minute duration. You don't see the Thunder choke like this often, so you know that those playoff tingles are hitting a little harder than expected. Things in Cleveland are looking just as rocky as Boston and OKC, but perhaps they have a little silver lining because those 2 losses occurred without Garland and Mobley. Still, major credit to the Pacers, because they don't just play fast, they are stupid efficient, and in Game 1, they shot 53% from 3, making the Cavs defense look a lot weaker than it's supposed to be. They hit you with dagger screens, kickouts, and transition threes before you even know who you're guarding. Cleveland is more talented, but Indiana weaponizes pace, and they have an offense that matches up really well with Cleveland, giving the Cavs a serious run for their money. Jared Allen and Evan Mobley are supposed to dominate the paint, making it really hard for guards and even other bigs to score easily down there. But the Pacers bigs like to play outside as well. Turner, and even Siakam to an extent, stretches the Cleveland bigs out, forcing Allen and Mobley away from the basket, which means the paint, up for the taking. So now you get better looks at the rim. Lobs, kickouts, rinse, repeat. And while the Pacers struggle at guarding talented wings, Cleveland really doesn't have that. You got Ty Jerome out here defending like his controller's unplugged. The Pacers lead the league in fast break points, and the Cavs rank bottom 5 in transition defense. This is just not a recipe for success for them. Of course, the Cavs shot terribly in Game 1, and this shooting performance likely won't happen again. But even in Game 2, they showed that even with good shooting, they gotta close out games. That being said, with Garland and Mobley back, they got a decent shot at winning the series. And that's exactly what they showed us in Game 3. With Mobley back, the Pacers weren't able to take advantage of the paint as much, and they ended up having a much less efficient night. Even with Garland in foul trouble, the Cavs were able to close this game out pretty easily. So that's where we're at. Each of the top teams are down 2-1. Boston looks confused, OKC looks rattled, and Cleveland looks like they're finally finding their footing. Meanwhile, Brunson is cooking, Aaron Gordon is possessed, and Indiana is sprinting past everyone before the buzzer even sounds. One thing's for sure, nobody is safe. Thanks for watching. Hooligan.